Yo, what up guys? Dylan here. What I'm gonna be doing today is I need to work on some things on my Gheenoe. I'm gonna be doing some fiberglass work. I need to redo the transom, reinforce the transom. I'm also going to be doing some fiberglass work on the front, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let me show you what I'm working with. So this is the 15.4 Gheenoe Highsider. Got it about 4 months ago. The guy that I bought it from actually did a pretty good job at restoring it, but there's a couple things that I didn't like. There used to be a spinning swivel chair like that one right here. I personally didn't like it because for one, it made it a pain to try to get to the trolling motor when I'm fishing. Also, whenever someone is sitting at the front of the Gheenoe, the weight distribution is not great. So I wanted to take it off, and as you can see, whatever he did to put that seat on was pretty horrendous. So I'm gonna go ahead and refiberglass over that and start from there, and eventually I'm gonna be building a deck, but that'll probably be on another video. Now, as for the transom, I have an old 9.9 Yamaha, only weighs about 70 pounds, give or take. Already stripped out the transom, and this is why. Crack in the initial fiberglass, so I'm gonna be reinforcing that with plywood as well as fiberglass. Got it to the bare bones. I stripped all of the old plywood that was right here out. He didn't go all the way flush to the bottom like I would like and what I'm going to do. With the help of my brother-in-law and his father, I was able to sand this down, get it nice and smooth to the original fiberglass. And I'm basically just gonna be starting from there. So let me show you what I'm working with. So this is the Bondo glass reinforcer I'm going to use for the back of the plywood. This is a fiberglass resin, comes with a hardener, acetone. I got these little plastic mixing cups. They didn't have the measured ones. And this is the biaxial cloth I'm going to be using for the fiberglass work. I got it off of Amazon. And then I also got a couple of other things. Got some putty knives, some paint rollers, some more hardener just in case I needed it, some more like Bondo knives, and some more like paint trays and stuff for the painting. These are the fiberglass rollers I got from Amazon, which I definitely recommend getting just to get all the air bubbles out and just get it as smooth as possible. So as you can see, I got a little bit of work to do, but before I start, all right, so full disclosure, I've never done this before. To be frank, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I've watched enough YouTube videos on dudes doing this. I feel like it's pretty simple. I think I can do it. So let's see how this all turns out. Let's start with the resin. So I got this at Walmart. It's just the Bondo fiberglass resin. This is the liquid hardener it comes with. Don't use too much or it'll harden up on you and you'll waste a whole batch. I made that mistake. So basically I'm just gonna lay this biaxial cloth that I got from Amazon over the part that I want to redo. But first I'm gonna pre-cut these different layers I'm gonna do. I'm about to do about 4 or 5 different layers. Now for this first layer, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint it all with the fiberglass resin so I can just lay it down on that area that I want just as that first base layer. And then from there, I'm just gonna paint the other layers on. So I already had that first one on. So for the second layer, I'm just gonna go ahead and line it all up, make sure it's nice and over that area. Clearly I have to make some more epoxy for the rest of the layers, but then I just start painting it on, paint all the edges over, make sure it's nice and flat, nice and smooth, just to get the best results so it looks as flush as possible. And these fiberglass rollers really help with that, just to get all the air bubbles out, make sure all the edges are nice and smooth. So definitely recommend getting them. I think I got them on Amazon for about $11, I want to say. I might be off, but definitely worth it. It makes the fiberglass process way smoother and just helps you get the best results possible. So this is what it looked like after about 4 layers I believe I used. I felt like 4 was enough. Covered those holes pretty well and try to get it as smooth as possible. And this is what it looks like about an hour later. It dried up pretty quick, used the right amount of hardener, And you can't tell from this video, but it's completely solid at this point. So now onto the transom. So what I did was I measured the base of the transom, and then I added 4 inches on each side so I can cut the biaxial cloth so that it can wrap around the corners just to reinforce that back side as much as possible. Then I pre-cut, I think about 5 or 6 different layers of the biaxial cloth. And what I did is I took the cutout of the transom board with the plywood, and I cut out the areas just as a little template, just so that the biaxial cloth would sit flush with the transom. So this is the first layer that I pre-painted with the resin, just like I did with the front of the boat. And then after that, I just started going in. I think I did about 5 or 6 different layers. Again, I totally forgot, but same concept. Just made sure that the biaxial cloth was in place and started painting it with a nice thick coat of the resin through all the corners. Make sure that you paint enough to basically where the cloth is gonna start looking clear. And then just paint out all the edges, make sure they're nice and smooth. Use the rollers to make sure all the edges are smooth as well, and then just keep going from there until you believe that you have enough layers that are gonna support whatever it is that you're trying to do. All right, guys, it is the next morning, and this is what the transom looks like now after 4 layers of fiberglass with the biaxial cloth has been put down. It is solid as a rock. I mean, just with this alone, it is totally solid. It's not even flimsy whatsoever. Dried up nice, and it's looking pretty good. I got this front panel now completely dried up. You know, I probably could have gone one more layer of the biaxial cloth, but honestly, it is still solid. I mean, with those 2 big holes, that's like the biggest thing I was worried about. It's a little bit indented, but I mean, for the most part, it is still solid. So everything's looking pretty good. So before the night ended, I also painted the entire transom board with the fiberglass resin just to seal it. I didn't have any waterproof sealant or anything like that, so I thought it worked just fine. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this Bondo glass reinforcer, and I'm basically just gonna use this as a glue to the back of the transom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm basically just gonna paint it on the back of this, make a nice thick coat, just to try to fill in all the air gaps as much as possible on the back of the transom. And then once I have that down, I'm gonna clamp it on, and then I'm gonna fiberglass back over that to seal everything. And shout out to my brother-in-law's father, Roddy, who's a big help in this project. He just helped me sand down while the transom board dried. So this is after the transom board has dried after the Bondo glass reinforcer, and now it is on there super solid. So now what I have to do is sand it all down, get it nice and smooth, hit it with some acetone just to make sure there's no dirt, and then it's time to fiberglass again. And the fiberglassing's done. So I did almost the same exact technique for the initial layers before I put on the transom board, except I made the sides just a little bit longer to really wrap around that corner. But it came out great, and this is after everything is dried up and I got it all sanded down nice and smooth. So the next step is painting. So I went with the Rust-Oleum topside paint in all white, and I just decided to go ahead and just paint my entire boat. It was super easy. I just used the rollers, came out nice and clean. The paint also dries really quick, which is nice. And then the last step for me was to install my Vance jack plate. One of the jack plate just so I can get the most out of my motor, and it definitely makes a huge difference. All right, guys, this is it. This is the finished product. There's the new transom with the Vance jack plate, the 9.9, jacked up nice and high. Let's see how she runs. It was a beautiful day in my hometown of Melbourne, O'Galley, Florida. and I went out fishing that day. If you guys are into inshore fishing, subscribe to my channel. I'm probably gonna be posting a lot more fishing stuff. But an honest review of the Vance jack plate. I had it all the way jacked up because my buddy has a 15.4 Gheenoe too, and he has a Vance and has his all the way jacked up, and it made a huge difference. I've never been able to plane like it's planing right now. I felt like I got 2 extra mile per hour, if not more. I feel like the front of my Gheenoe's like a foot above the water, which it never has been able to do before. So if you have a Gheenoe, I definitely recommend getting some sort of jack plate.
Not bad. It's nice.
Yeah, so really the fiberglass work really wasn't that hard. Like, if I can do it, you guys can definitely do it. I just bought most of that stuff at Walmart. So save yourself the money. You don't need to pay someone $500-600 to do it. Hopefully this helps out. Next thing I'll be doing is reflooring my Gheenoe with some fake sea deck. Yeah, if that's something you're interested in seeing too, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be posting a lot more fishing videos from the Gheenoe, and hopefully find some good ones. So see y'all later.